Hey, writers. I'm hanging out with Jen Grisanti, my good friend and brilliant, brilliant mind in the screenwriting space as far as screenwriting instruction and knowledge goes. If you guys have caught these videos before, you know that Jen and I tend to catch up every once in a while. We catch up all the time, but every once in a while we hop on video and decide that we want to share with you guys what we're doing and what we're up to. And Jen has some really exciting things coming up. So wanted to talk about what she is going to be sharing, where she sees writing and writers at the moment, because as you guys know, nobody's smarter. So let's dig on in, Jen. So
Thank you.
I know we're in such a kind of strange and unique time, being that we're recording this yet again during the strike. Why do you think writers are struggling so much right now with the writing?
I think everything going on in the world and with the strike is creating a block. I think writers are feeling like the dream isn't viable because the business isn't moving forward. And I think that is creating a feeling of being stuck. And I think there are many writers who are utilizing this time in writing because they do have time, but I'm noticing a very large number of writers, and I want you guys not to feel alone, who are struggling with the writing process. And I think part of this is because fear is getting in the way of creativity, limiting beliefs are getting in the way. I also believe that there's a value to the ticking time clock and accountability when the business is moving forward. And I feel like writers are missing this accountability. I also think that writers are questioning, because of what's going on with the strike, their value in the business. And as a former studio executive, writing instructor, and current story career consultant, I can tell you that no one works unless the writing is there. So there is no one who has greater value in this business than the writer. So moving beyond these fears is, I think, something both you and I want to help writers move beyond these fears.
Absolutely. I think it's so true and so real. And you're right, it is such a scary moment because we're in the kind of unknown. And that's the place where fear can really reign. But you are rolling out a new product that will help really fuel and inspire, which I'm really excited about. So can you tell me a little bit about the Creating a Concept That Sells webinar?
Yes. So October is not my normal time that I do a pilot course. And because of everything going on with the strike right now, and because of the feeling that people are stuck, I decided to create this course, Creating a Concept That Sells. And I have many reasons for doing this. I wanted to do it first and foremost to create a community where writers can feel safe discussing and developing their concepts. And part of my motivation for honing in on the concept is the recognition. So many of us are home watching every show and devouring every series that is on. We're looking at what is hitting us in the heart, where we are staying and where we are leaving. And there are so many shows that are falling short, or the audience is not engaging. And I'm finding that the reason for this is because there's something that's needing to be defined more in the concept phase of the development process. So that ignited me to create a course where I could go through systems and tools and look at what isn't working and why it isn't working, as well as what is working at a very high level, which there are so many shows that are working at a very high level, and how can writers learn tools that can help them create concepts that will have series longevity.
Love that. Now, you talked about shows, the various shows that are out there. You're always so great with pulling shows to learn from when you have your courses. So what shows will you be highlighting this time?
So in this course, I chose 2 shows, and I have a specific reason I chose these 2 shows. I chose The Bear, which I know so many people are over the moon about season 2 of this show, which probably was one of the most brilliant seasons of TV ever done, and Succession, which I also feel that so many writers that this show hit them in the heart, that it brought them on this ride that made them feel so many emotions. So I chose these shows because there were so many things that the writers did or are doing right that we are all learning from. The Bear, I look at season 2 and I look at their utilization of theme with Carm's character and the idea of having fun, and the recognition that the passion of the restaurant isn't fun to him, and what is fun. And when I look at Richie and the idea of finding purpose, and I think that these themes are hitting the audience in such a massive way because we all identify. So that is the reason I chose these 2 shows, and we are going to take a deep dive into looking at what is working in these shows and tools that can help you create concepts that could create series, hopefully at the same level.
That's amazing. And those are 2 amazing seasons of television. I like the rest of the world was absolutely floored by The Bear and what they did. And I think just being able to get your perspective on it and learning from that will be so huge. Taking those tools and then applying them to the writer's own writing is going to be fantastic.
Thank you.
You're working with writers all the time. You're talking to writers all the time. Have you had a recent kind of aha moment with the writing process? Have there been any kind of light bulb moments?
Yes, I keep having aha moments. It is a couple aha moments so that I've had that I'll just go into in a small way, and we'll go in bigger in the workshop. The first aha moment that I have is a recognition that when you show us the main conflict in the series versus tell us, that this can have so much stronger of a connection to your audience. And then the second thing is looking at the central conflict. I think writers have struggled with, how do I create a central conflict, and really understanding what is a central conflict. Like when you have something in the personal life that doesn't match with something in the professional life, and how do you set that into the core concept? And what I recognized was, in shows, very often, not all the time, but very often, the central character becomes cognizant of the dominant flaw around the midpoint to the all is lost moment. And this recognition creates an idea of, what if I were to take a new trait as it links to the external arc of the series. So I'm finding that a strong central conflict is when writers know how to write toward this, so that we feel the gap between the old flaw and the new, more positive trait that they need to have in order to achieve the series arc. So this was an aha to me to just kind of look at and go, oh, that's how you can explain it in a way that hopefully writers can see how to apply that to their writing.
That is so cool. Never thought about it that way.
Thank you.
You always have a way of finding these things. I love it.
Thank you.
Now, story is forever changing, evolving, programming is evolving. How do you find that story is evolving? How do you see that?
I think when I look back to when I started in the business as a studio executive, I look back to procedurals then versus procedurals now, for example. And I look at the idea that the shows that are being the biggest shows that are the most successful right now seem to have a hybrid structure of plot versus personal, and how the theme is connecting to both the plot and the personal. So I'm feeling like with the shows I'm watching and I'm identifying with and I'm wanting to come back to, that when the writer uses the structure of the personal as it parallels the external arc and thematically bring us in, that's when I want to stay. That's when I'm like, all right, I get it. I'm clear. And I feel that because there's so much chaos going on in the world, that when we see these characters who have these earlier wounds that are so tragic and devastating, and the question is, can you heal from those wounds? And when we see in a well-written season arc that through action, a character can heal, and through making choices where the flaw isn't pulling them back, where the consciousness of the flaw, instead of pulling them backwards, is moving them forward, that is story that is hitting in a way where the audience is dying to return. And that's what I want to help writers understand more about, how to create concepts that make your audience die to come back.
I love that.
Thank you.
Listen, I think everything you're talking about is what we watch TV for, right? The connection, the emotion, the thematic pull, all of those things. So I love when writers get that. I think that ultimately it only makes their work stronger, which for the record makes my life easier, because you need great writing to have a screenwriting career. So thank you for filling me in today on all of this.
Oh, thank you, Lee. And I want everyone to know too, like I'm such a massive fan of Lee and how Lee is connecting with writers. She also has a Straight Talk live free event that I want you to be aware of and tune into, the next one being September 9th. So thank you. Thank you so much, Lee.
Thank you, Jen.
Bye.